Good morning. One of the most popular builds in POE2's early access's previous season was the Blood Mage Autobomber that just flat out dominated every other build in terms of capabilities. Due to the dupe exploit and therefore resulting masses of readily available Temporalis silk ropes on the trade side, even made this build kind of affordable to a larger part of the player base during the 0.1 patch of this early access. A lot of things have changed since these lawless times. There have been no new instances of item dupe exploits so far. Most of the player base has gone with the most popular build, that is Lightning Spear, which can easily do any content on a very low budget. And most importantly, the Temporalis Silk Rope was nerfed from having a minus cooldown of up to 4 seconds to a minus cooldown of up to 2 seconds. A lot of the times when Temporalis and the resulting Autobomber build have been mentioned in my stream chat, for example, the popular consensus was that the build is basically dead in the water in this patch. Well, it is absolutely not. In this current 0.21 patch, the old Autobomber that was on top of the meta for months in the previous patch is still absolutely alive and looks just about the same as it did back then. But there is a catch. It is incredibly expensive to build. So in this video, I will not be going for the usual build guide approach, and I won't call it as such, but it should serve more as a showcase of what is possible on this build with an investment that exceeds the thousands of divines. So let's get into this complete insanity that is the Blood Mage Autobomber. Looking at the character sheet here, first thing we will probably notice here is that there's nothing really crazy to look at here on the character sheet. We have over 2000 life, we have 2600 energy shield, just above 100 strength, 113 dexterity, and 220 intelligence. We're also elemental res capped, and our chaos res is at 41%. So not really anything crazy on the character sheet here. We also have 161 spirit, so nothing really crazy here. So how does this build work? We have a level 32 blink here, and we are also using cast on dodge. So cast on dodge says we are gaining 2 energy every time we are dodging, and per meter traveled we gain 2 energy. So every time we are blinking, which in this case teleports us for 5.3 meters, we are gaining energy for cast on dodge, and everything that is slotted into this cast on dodge here, which is in this case spark and ball lightning, gets triggered by our blink and our cast on dodge here. So every time I am blinking on a cooldown here, so you can basically see already the cooldown for blink is basically 0. It's not quite 0, but it is pretty close to 0. So every time we are blinking, our cast on dodge stuff gets triggered here. So every time we travel the distance with the blink here, which is in this case the dodge roll, we use the cast on dodge stuff, in this case spark and ball lightning. We're also using wild shard, scatter shot, and impetus on cast on dodge here to have even more sparks and more ball lightnings triggered. So every time we dodge, this gets triggered. What happens then is our Choir of the Storm comes into play. Every time we do this, you can see here the sparks and the ball lightnings just feather out to all sides. And when they hit the mobs, they crit, since we have a crit of over 80% here. Yeah, 81% crit in this case. Every time they hit something, the Choir of the Storm's lightning bolt gets triggered as well. So that then just kills everything. The Choir of the Storm's lightning bolt usually has a cooldown of 0.5 seconds. This gets nulled with Temporalis as well. So the minus 1.98 seconds to cooldown also applies to the lightning bolt here. So this lightning bolt now has no cooldown at all and is able to trigger on the same enemy over and over and over again. So this is basically just killing everything in seconds here. And this is the basic combination of how this build works. We are also using trample tools, so everything we overkill, 30% of that overkill damage goes to enemies within 2 meters of the enemy killed. So you can see this effect when we're mapping. Just everything we barely hit with a lightning bolt from the choir just gets annihilated, and everything around that enemy also gets annihilated due to the trample tool here. That is the basic functionality of this build. That is basically everything you need. When mapping, you are just teleporting around. You're just going as fast as you can, just teleporting around. That is everything you need for mapping. Just cast on dodge and just blink like this. For blink, I'm using Unbreakable, Energy Barrier, Ingenuity, and Arcane Tempo. Also, for bossing, the only real thing you have to do is you deactivate the cast on dodge here, and then you activate the cast on critical here. And what you can also do is put impetus and energy retention in the cast on critical with 3 arcs here. So the bossing setup is basically the same as most of the Blood Mage Spark builds and cast on critical builds we have seen before this league. Also added on top of this is just Eye of Winter and Frost Wall then. So when the boss is actually there, we just spam Frost Walls. We just spam 1 Eye of Winter into the boss to get critical weakness, and we just keep spamming the Frost Walls for the boss to also just die in seconds too. That is the basic functionalities of this Autobomber build. There's nothing really much more to it. It's just crazy, absolutely insane. Just teleporting, 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 and then just killing everything automatically on the way. So next thing I'm gonna go over is the gear and also what makes this build so expensive. Okay, first thing to mention obviously is going to be the Temporalis here. This is the core unique of this Autobomber build. This is what makes the build an Autobomber. This is what makes the build the way it is right now. This is also the first reason why this build is so expensive. I will mention the prices here a little bit from time to time on some of these items, and take this with a grain of salt. If you watch this video in 2 weeks or something, the prices might fluctuate. The prices are always fluctuating on the trade side. But this Temporalis on the trade side right now can go between anything from 600 to 1,000 divines, depending on what's on the Temporalis. So just this one alone is what some other builds are just costing overall. So yeah, one of the first reasons here why this build is so expensive. The next reason is going to be a wand like this. You want a wand that is plus all spells instead of lightning here. That is because you want the level of blink higher. You want also the level on Eye of Winter higher. You want Frostwall higher. You want everything higher level. So a lightning wand can absolutely be used here. If you're using a lightning wand, that is probably some higher damage when it comes to like the lightning bolt and such. But the optimal way of doing this is going to be a wand with +4 to all spells, then high critical hit chance and the 3 gains here, and also cast speed to have a higher cast speed on the blink, which will just make the blink much more smooth, and cast speed is actually something that feels very, very good in this build. So a wand like this is probably around the range of up to 800, maybe even more divines. It depends a little bit. I bought this wand, I think, like a week ago for around 650, and I think I made a very good deal here. So just a wand like this is going to be incredibly expensive as well. The next reason is going to be a Choir of the Storm here with fast metabolism and +1 to all skills corruption here. The corruption here is very, very hard to get. Apparently, fast metabolism is pretty hard to anoint as well, and not hard, but a little bit expensive to anoint as well, to then go the risk of corrupting them. So this Choir of the Storm is anything between 200 and 400 divines on the trade side right now as well. Next expensive thing is going to be the focus. A focus like this can also be up to 100, 200 divines, depending on what's on there. A focus like this with high crit hit chance for spells and plus level to all spell skills is also going to be very expensive. Next thing that is expensive is going to be the deepest tower here. Like I not have mentioned before, this is this setup here is also utilizing the deepest tower here with the finality with finishing blows and stars aligned here. So we are also utilizing the effect from the deepest tower here that everything in our presence counts as low life, and then using these nodes on the passive tree right here. So you can also see Our presence radius is very, very high here. This is due to I am using jewels with presence area of effect increase on every single one. So our presence area is pretty high, even though the deepest tower reduces it by 50%. So the deepest tower with a spirit corruption like this, with 29 spirit in this case, or 30 spirit, whatever, can get really expensive as well. I think it's around 100 divines too for this. Next reason is going to be a headhunter here. I am using a headhunter with 24 increased maximum energy shield. This can go up to 200 divines at the moment as well. So also extremely expensive here. Next expensive part is going to be the rings. Depending on what you get on a ring like this ring here, for example, has maximum life, has increased lightning damage, cast speed, rarity, and 3 reses. Can get really, really expensive. Depends a little bit on the rings and what they can do. I decided to go with some rarity on this setup here to get, I think I have around 100 rarity even here for this setup. So these rings can also get really, really expensive. The next thing that is going to be extremely expensive here is the Against the Darkness Timeless Diamond with 12 spirit here, but also the 4% of damage as extra lightning damage. This Against the Darkness is at the time of recording at 500 divines as well. So for this build, you probably need a Against the Darkness with plus spirit, and you want, optimally, you want as extra lightning damage as well. It can be all the other damage types that probably is a little bit cheaper, but you definitely need one with plus 10 spirit at least. So that is everything that concludes here with the build on its own. There are some different setups that I have seen on other Autobombers. So some people are using the Soul Tether here, for example. I really prefer the Headhunter, and a lot of people are also using the Series Acuity on the glove slot or the Maligoros Virtuosity on the glove slot. I personally really prefer just normal gloves. I don't need the instant life leech that is provided by Series, in my opinion. I really don't need the Maligoros that puts my critical damage bonus to 300. You can see here I have 270 anyway. What I really prefer on gloves here is getting maximum life, rarity, and also reses and high energy shield. So I personally really prefer gloves like this. But like I mentioned before, there are some versions with a Series Acuity, there are some versions with Maligoros, and also some people are using Soul Tether here. So these are the possibilities for this. This concludes everything with the gear. Let's quickly go over the passive G as well and finish up this video. Going over what makes this build so expensive, I even forgot 2 more things that are expensive as well in this build. So Rite of Passage Golden Charm with Spirit of the Owl here is used as well. I think these ones are around 100 div at the moment as well. And I'm also using Prism of Belief with +3 blink skills. These prices for this one fluctuate a lot, since this is unfortunately very price fixable by a bunch of people, but this will cost a lot as well. So just 2 more reasons why this build is as expensive as it is. Looking at the passive G, first thing we will notice is we are on the Blood Mage Ascendancy, of course, so we are using Sunder the Flash, and we're also using Vitality Siphon for the spell damage leached. The most obvious thing, or the most important thing on this passive G here, is that we need cooldown recovery rate, because the Temporalis is now nerfed with 2 seconds to minus cooldown. Before it was 4, so we could just put on the Temporalis and the blink cooldown was nullified basically. What we need now on the passive G mainly is cooldown recovery rate. So that is the reason why we go all the way down to this. The only reason it is not, because we are also, like I already mentioned, due to the deepest tower, we are going into stars aligned and finishing blows here. But the main reason why we are going down here is going to be the cooldown recovery nodes that are in here, with multitasking, with distracting presence and volatile catalyst. So these are a bunch of cooldown recovery rate. We also have cooldown recovery rate up here with forthcoming. So we need to pick up all this cooldown recovery rate to have our blink cooldown as low as it is right here. So also we have it on the boots here, for example, 10% increased cooldown recovery rate on the trample toes here. So those are all the possibilities of going down on our cooldown recovery rate. So that is basically it for the passive tree. We're also picking up all the jewel slots that we can, because jewels are once again very, very powerful here, giving us maximum energy shield, presence, area of effect, and then critical hit chance for spells or critical spell damage bonus. So that is basically it for the passive tree. Other than that, there's not really much to write home about. I'm also using a Megalomaniac here, for example, with Profane Commander and Overzealous. So getting Profane Commander here is a must. Either you get it on, you should get it on a Megalomaniac all the time. So Profane Commander and then whatever else you can get. In this case, I'm getting Overzealous here. But yeah, Profane Commander gives us two very good things. It gives us increased presence, area of effect, and it also increases our spirit by 5%. So getting that on the Megalomaniac, very, very good. Can also get pretty expensive depending on what you get on the Megalomaniac. So that is going to conclude the build showcase here. I will not attach a mobalytics guide for this, because I don't really see a point in making a build guide for a build that most of the player base cannot even dream to achieve here. So I just wanted to make this showcase here and wanted to show this build off a little bit. I will be playing this build on my stream over the next few weeks as well. I will probably stay on this build for a while also testing some other builds. So if you want to see this build in action and you maybe have some questions about this build, the best way to do that is join my stream and check out the stream when I will be playing on this build. If you want me to do a mobalytics on this and showcase everything in there, you can let me know in the comments. I didn't really see the point. This build exceeds like 3,000, 4,000 divines. Maybe I didn't do the full calculations here, but yeah, I didn't really want to do a build guide on this. But if you still want to see this build in action, join my stream, come to the stream. We have a very, very nice Discord community as well. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one. Love you. Bye.